guys, thanks so much for joining me today. My name is Keely and I'm the owner here of Love Hip Adventure, where I blog about the marriage relationship, intimacy, and marriage, and how you can go deeper with your spouse. And I kind of made a mistake, right? On Wednesday of last week, for crying out loud, a week ago, I came on and I said, your spouse can change, they can change. So join me on Friday and I'll tell you how. And then I forgot to come on Friday. So that's my bad. I'm sorry. And I know I didn't come on the rest of this week either. So I was like, I'm going to do it Monday. I'm going to do it Tuesday. And I don't even know what today is. Today is probably Wednesday. But here I am. So what I wanted to share with you is how to get your spouse to listen and ultimately to change. Now, let me just preface this and say that changes can happen with your spouse. They may not be exactly what you hope for, and the changes may not be what you have in mind, but changes can occur. So why do we want our spouse to change? That's the real question we have to answer. Why do we want them to change? Probably has something to do with the fact that they are doing things that is either hurting us, annoying us, bothering us, or whatever. Maybe they aren't doing things that we need them to do so that we can feel loved or to feel like we have the help we need around the house or whatever. But the core issue here is that you've got a problem and your spouse has a solution a lot of times. Sometimes your spouse making some changes or working with you in certain ways can be a solution. Before you go to your spouse, though, and start working with them on making changes and having these conversations, you do need to ask yourself, is this problem mine? Am I the one that has the problem? You really need to ask yourself and find out, is this got to do with my spouse or me? Am I struggling with this issue because of insecurities on my part, or because of jealousy, or because of whatever? And really analyze, why am I feeling frustrated or emotional or upset by this thing? Is there something that I can do to make a change? So maybe it's not my spouse that has the problem or needs to make the change. Maybe it's my own personal attitude towards the situation needs to change. Maybe there's something I need to do differently. Really explore those options. And if it comes down to it and you're like, yeah, I'm going to need help on this one. This is how you get your spouse to listen to you and start seeing changes. For a lot of years, both Austin and I would come to each other with statements like, why don't you ever, you never, or I wish you would, or why don't you, or I thought you were going to do this. And those are very accusatory statements. Unfortunately, it sets conversations with your spouse off in the wrong place. It makes them feel defensive, like they are immediately defensive. Even if they needed to make the change, if you've ever been defensive, don't you know you immediately go into stubborn mode? It's like, you know what, I'm wrong here and I don't even care. It's just the principle of the matter. And you get defensive and you start making excuses about your poor behavior or why you did or didn't do something, right? Even if they're legitimate, coming into conversations like that is the best way to get your spouse to shut down and not listen to you. And this is finances, sex, house chores, parenting, whatever. Whatever the issue is that you are dealing with, you can shut down conversation before it even gets started, shutting down communication before it can even take place by attacking your spouse first. Haven't we done it? I mean, I've done it. Austin's done it. I know you've done it. We've all done it. We immediately start attacking. The best way to come into conversations with your spouse is by presenting them the problem. Coming to them and saying, I have a problem. I feel this way. Maybe if it's finances, you come to them with a problem, I can't afford to pay this bill. Or there is a problem with this line item. It's not big enough, or we need more money for this, or the kids really need shoes, but we are out of budgeted money for this. However you work your finances, whatever you're fighting over with the finances, you come to them with the core problem. Now, it's possible that you're having the problem because your spouse is overspending, but you don't come to them and say, you're overspending the budget and now we can't buy anything for anybody. The best thing to do is to come to them with the checkbook and the numbers and say, man, we've got this real problem. It's not the end of the month yet, but we are out of food. And we aren't getting another paycheck for another week. And I don't know what to do. And bring them that problem. If it's in your sex life, you come to them and you say, I have these sexual needs and I don't know what to do. I'm really struggling emotionally. I'm really struggling with this desire for release and I'm not getting it. And I really don't know how to handle this. I don't know how to stay sexually pure in these moments. I'm fighting these temptations with my mind, or whatever it is that you're struggling with in your sex life, or whatever problem you're dealing with. Maybe the house is absolutely trashed and your spouse is part of the reason, right? Because they've left their crap everywhere. Instead of coming in and yelling at them, you aren't picking your stuff up, you're as bad as the kids, coming in and saying, man, it's just so hard for me to walk around in here because there's so much stuff on the floor all the time and I'm running out of time to do it. I'm running out of time to actually clean these things up and sit down on the couch at the end of the night or get dinner done or whatever. This is the way that you get your spouse to listen to you. You come to them what the actual problem is, and then you give them the time to create solutions. If they are given a choice on creating solutions, instead of being told what to do, and they get to come in this with you as a team, and you're presenting it to them as, there's this problem, and I really need your help with it, that puts them in a position where they're going to be more willing to help. Now, I don't want to put this across the board that everybody is in a relationship with a spouse who really has goodwill towards them, because there's plenty of people in abusive relationships with spouses that this would not work with. And this scope is not for you. These words of advice is not for you. If you're in a position with a spouse who is abusing you, then you need to get out. So I like to put that disclaimer out there because there's so many people who are trying to make it right in their relationship, and they're listening to people like me thinking, well, it's me and I'm the root cause of this problem. And they are in a bad relationship. So if you're not sure, if you have this thought in your mind, am I in an abusive relationship? Well, that's a good indication to you to go talk to someone. Because I have never once had that thought, am I in an abusive relationship? I've never thought that. So if you're having that question, you really need to get some advice from an outside person who can kind of see the situation that's going on. And that's my advice to you. But for those of you who are in marriage with someone who is reasonable, this is going to help you. This will help you with them. And if you guys come together and have this agreement that when there is a problem, if they come at you and they start attacking you and you throwing your defenses up, you kind of have to ask yourself, why am I getting defensive here? And then help coach your spouse along with how they can better approach you. Now, sometimes it means you just have to swallow your pride and deal, all right? Because we don't always deal with criticism very well, do we? I mean, I don't. But if you tell your spouse, could you maybe come at me softer or just present your problem and let me get there, that would be really helpful. Guys, I've seen this work so many times, not just in marriages, but in relationships with children, friends, whoever. Your boss, instead of coming in thinking you've already got the solution to the problem, and the solution is they've got to make all these changes, if you go to them with the problem, and then brainstorm together, what can we do? And really come with an open mind. Not come in a manipulative type of way. All right, I'm going to present the problem, and then I'm going to, show them how they've got to make all these changes and do all these different things. But just come openly and think, I don't know what we're going to walk away with here. But at the end of the day, what you really want to see happen is for the problem to be resolved. And it doesn't necessarily mean that your spouse has to do all the changing, but they're going to be a lot more willing to do it. They're going to get there a lot faster on their own if you come to them in this type of, mindset and attitude. That's my encouragement for you guys today. And if you want to see what else I've been blogging about, please join me, loveadventure.com. If you want my sex tips, go to IamTheSexTalkLady.com. Guys, I'll chat with you soon, and I hope you have a fabulous Wednesday afternoon.